morning, everyone. My name is Ojasvi, and I'm a program manager on the Teams developer platform. Today, we're going to talk about more stuff related to adaptive cards and bots in Teams. So I'm the PM responsible for bots, cards, and the conversational platform over here. So we'll look at some interesting changes that are coming over here. Then we're also talking about, we'll talk about Power Virtual Agents and Teams. I believe we had briefly introduced these back in a call earlier in the year, but we've made some like exciting announcements recently at Inspire, and like more is coming at Ignite. So I'll again give an overview of what these are. And then lastly, we've got a lot of sessions at Ignite, skilling sessions where you can learn what's new with Teams platform, as well as opportunities for you to engage with us and provide feedback. And then at the end, I'll leave some time open for Q&A if there are some questions that I can answer today as it pertains to development in Teams. I'll be more than happy to take them for you. So adaptive cards in Teams, I covered this in the call a few months ago, and as you know, like we're heavily invested in ensuring that adaptive cards work well in Teams. Our focus over here has mainly been to ensure that there is a lot of craftsmanship, and like the fit and finish of adaptive cards comes through. They're highly consistent across all our platforms, whether it's web or desktop or iOS or Android. They have, and we're invested in like a lot of like minute features which by themselves aren't necessarily that great, but when you put them together, you can really see that we're thinking through this end to end and just making sure that there's good organic basic design that comes through in these cards. So the first feature that we've been working on that will be available soon is full width and adaptive cards. So over here you can see that typically bot adaptive cards or adaptive cards in general, they take about roughly 50% of the space, whether it's in a chat or a channel. And the feedback that we received from developers was that, hey, there's a lot of unused space over here, and we are having to create rather vertical adaptive cards because if you want to give more content in, it doesn't allow for that. And additionally, you will have one card come through, and then the user has to just keep on scrolling up again and again to see what the options were that the bot sent in the last adaptive card. So in order to solve for this, like a very simple solution is just a lot of unused space for content. So we're going for horizontal expansion. And then you can see the same card on the left versus the same card on the right. In this, with the additional space, you could have we wanted to keep the schema exactly the same, but you could have taken the buttons and moved them further over to the right. Now, all of this we think is gonna help with like more compact design when it comes to adaptive cards, and it looks better for the user, and general goodness. So so if you've got like adaptive cards that are taking a lot of space, once this is generally available, I would highly recommend that you move over to this to the new schema and to the new look. Another one we've got over here that we're working on is information masking. It's a straightforward scenario where sometimes you might want to update some sort of a basic password within your conversational bot. So this is going to be available in a one-on-one context, and much like the information masking and password scenarios that you're familiar with today, it's from a UX perspective, it's largely similar. It's largely same. All of these full width control and information masking, this is content that I had taken from the Ignite presentation. So the stuff that I'm talking over here is just a sneak peek of what we have in store for this quarter, as well as what we've been working in the previous quarters. There is a lot more content over in the Ignite talk that we'll release next week, so I would highly recommend that you check it out. Towards the end, we'll share details about that as well, but just know that this is a sneak peek and there is a lot more to come. The next one we're looking at is again an overflow menu. So over here in this menu, right, the these three dots over here, you can have secondary actions such as edit card, delete card, copy link. Um, our primary motivation behind this is like when a user is reading a card, for example, in this case, it's the MSTN magazine. Might either want to read it online or you would want to download the issue, right? These are like the two main ways that you would want to engage with this particular adaptive card. Now, for your application, there might be secondary use cases that don't deserve this real estate straight up, but could benefit from being under an overflow menu. So, in that sense, if that is the case, then the overflow menu would be the right thing for you over there. The next one is sender attribution. So over here we have so this feature is already generally available, and on the left is what you have was the old UX or the old UI, and on the right is what's possible with sender attribution. Now, in a scenario such as polling or survey or any sort of like a group chat scenario where the adaptive card content has been initiated by a user within that channel, but ultimately the card has to go from the bot. So in this case, we see that a lot of bots subscribe to some sort of like user attribution to show who is the person who's created the poll or the checklist or the survey scenario. Now, in the old UX, you had to like there was a need to have the line inside the adaptive card itself. And you can see that this leaves a lot of extra white space, and it's not necessarily it's not the most elegant design that we have over here. So in that sense, sender attribution is something that you can try today, where it just naturally aligns with so the name naturally gets aligned to the top line via the application of the bot. So Shubham Chauhan sent a poll gets converted to Shubham Chauhan via poll. So it's sender name via poll. And from a user's perspective, it's more natural. It's where you would expect it to be. And it just gives a little bit more accountability in terms of who is sending the poll or the form request. Next one, so this is something that we'd announced earlier that was in dev preview. Now we've moved into GA. Also, adaptive cards with incoming webhooks are officially in GA. All native adaptive cards, schema elements, except actions are supported. Within actions.openURL, actions.showCard, and actions.toggleVisibility will be supported today. For future support, we are working on action.submit and the ability to add mentioned users. And check out the Ignite talk for like more content related to adaptive cards. So that's all I had initially for adaptive card updates. Again, like the focus there being just a lot of craftsmanship, a lot of fit and finish items, and just giving you the ability to create like more compact, sleek, and well-formed designs with cards and themes.
Hey, Ojasvi, before we move on, there was one question with regard to adaptive cards, and Ricardo wanted to know if there have been improvements in the hard return to separate paragraphs in adaptive cards. He knows there's been some workarounds suggested, but those have only succeeded, personal experience, in starting a new line, not inserting blank lines.
Okay. Ricardo, I am not aware of the top of my head. So I have my contact details in there. Maybe if you, I think the best way would be if you could like create a GitHub issue and just share that GitHub issue with me over Twitter or something, and I'll follow up. But yeah, are you aware of like how to create issues with on GitHub for our documentation? And I think this might be probably one of those cases where you could also head over to the Adaptive Cards website and either ping Matt or me, and like we can take a look.
Ricardo, if you get me your email address, I will follow up with both of them for you and make that connection.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks very much.
Perfect. Yep, you got it.
So the next one we've got some exciting updates, or well, we've got updates to the bot APIs, and I'll just dive straight into it. So the first one we've got changes coming to TeamSpot APIs for fetching team and chat members. So this is something I believe we'd also spoken about earlier in the year, and now we are generally available with all of these changes. These changes are live, so it's good to revisit them. So the scope of what we're trying to do is currently teams info.get members async for C Sharp or teams info.get members async for TypeScript and Node.js are used to retrieve member information inside a group chat or inside a channel. However, there are some issues with these APIs. There are issues with both of these APIs as they stand today. In large teams, performance is poor in them and timeouts are likely. This is going to become exceptionally problematic as the team size increases. Earlier in the year, I think the largest team size was about 5,000 users. In the summer, we had announced the largest team size for org-wide teams is now all the way up to 10,000 users. And there are plans to continuously increase it and push for more. So especially in large teams and in org-wide teams, if you are using either of those APIs, your bots will suffer from timeouts and performance requests. And so both of these APIs would not be ideal for that. The second thing is typically we've also heard from developers that getting the profile details of a single user is cumbersome. So there were a lot of scenarios where yes, there might be like many members in a roster, but at a particular time, you just want the information of like one particular user, and there really was no way to do that. So in order to address both of these points, the performance issue for org-wide teams and large teams, as well as the single member issue, we've introduced a set of new APIs. Teams info.get page member async is for retrieving profile information from members of a chat or a team. This is going to be a lot more performant than the two APIs that we had earlier, as well as teams info.get member async. So you can see this the API definition over here, which is for retrieving profile information for a single user. If you want to learn more about both of these APIs, when we share the slides, here's the link, by the way, if you can see. But I have linked it over here, so you can go and check out the blog post that we had released for changes coming over to the chat members API. Another thing that we are looking at aligning with over here is aligning the permissioning model over with Microsoft Graph. So IT admins today, they do have a lot of control over the way which applications and bots get installed within Microsoft Teams. And separately inside Microsoft Graph, we've got another way of retrieving information. So from a admin perspective and from a developer perspective, we've got these, we currently have two models that people need to police or monitor in order to restrict or provide information. Long term, I think, and when I say long term, I mean like next year or so, within next year or so, we do want to align both of these models and converge on some sort of information retrieval via Microsoft Graph and the semantics and the language of communication being via the existing bot APIs. I will have some sessions after Microsoft Ignite is over to see how we will reconcile the permissioning model. So if you have some feedback on those, I would highly encourage you to join those. I believe the invites for Microsoft Ignite as well as these sessions have gone out. June, I got an email that's true. Do you know if that's the case, that the invites have largely gone out for those information sessions?
On the information sessions, that's something I'll have to follow up on.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I did get an email. So either way, like I think the call to action over here is that if you haven't signed up for Ignite, go ahead and sign up for Ignite, and then automatically you do look out for these information sessions that will eventually happen for the long-term reconciliation of like how we want to move some of this information retrieval over to Graph. If that's something that you're interested in, I would greatly value that feedback. So if you can join those sessions, I think that's going to be awesome. The next one that we have is we've also put in a lot of work in ensuring that we have events for the entirety of the user life cycle, the user and the team life cycle events for bots. Initially, earlier there were gaps in terms of like certain events that were not being sent to bots, and now we're closing in on them and we're providing like a more complete picture. So the first one we've got over here is like team archive and unarchive, which will be available soon. The context for this one is like, sometimes a member might archive a team and then they might unarchive it. And in that case, if you are trying to send a message to that particular team or to that particular channel, then you will not be able to do that. So this event just allows for you to like understand what is the current state of a team or a channel. Similarly, we've got the second one that we've got is team soft delete and restore. So we today have the concept of soft deleting a team, where I believe you can delete a team and then after a certain period of time, I think it's 20 days or some amount, 30 days or something like that, the team moves into a hard delete state. And before you do that, you can the user can potentially reinstall or restore the team. So if you're sending messages during that phase, they might not again go through. So this is again for you to understand like what is the current state of a team when it comes to delete. And lastly, we've got team hard delete. The fourth event that we've got over here is app install uninstall. So this was a request from a few of our partners that they wanted to know what was the state of a particular app for a user, if they had installed it or uninstalled it. There are some interesting things that you can do with it. I think people wanted to know that, okay, if an app is uninstalled, I would like to delete the user data, for example, on my end when that happens. So, I mean, now all of these events will be available very soon. So you can like take that corresponding action that on install, you get a signal, and on install, that signal did exist today as well. And you can use that for like a proactive message, and then conversely for uninstall, you could then choose to delete user data when that happens. Additionally, since we are working on giving IT admins and the ability to install apps via Microsoft Graph, this also plays into that. So like these events will also cover those scenarios. So the entire life cycle, end to end of installing as well as uninstalling an app is covered. Dana, any questions on those two? Before we move forward?
Nope, I think we're good right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I mean, as I said, if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. We've also got, I believe we might have Raghav and Yuni on the call. So they are the developers who worked on this. So for those two particular questions, for those two particular events, they might be like the best people to answer. Moving on, let's talk a little bit. Let's jump gear and talk a little bit about Power Virtual Agents and Teams. So Power Virtual Agents, if you're not familiar, they are basically a way to build no-code or low-code chatbots. They're a solution to build no-code or low-code chatbots. They existed previously. You could have used it for deploying it on web chat, for example, and now they will be available inside of and the effort is largely to integrate these with Teams. So let's briefly look at what these are and how they can benefit you. So the first one is that the first main idea behind Power Virtual Agents is that we're looking to democratize AI. On the right, you can see, and I'll share a demo of all of this. On the right, you can see you've got a low-code or no-code graphical interface where you can create a conversational flow with a chatbot. And the idea is that if you are an expert or a data scientist inside an org, then you can go ahead and if you're a subject matter expert who wants to create a particular chatbot about some sort of, let's say you wanted to create a chatbot about the weather for example, or some other the weather or some sort of an FAQ board for your organization if you're an IT admin and you would like to provide some sort of basic guidance in terms of like what users should do for resetting passwords, for reaching out to you, for device upgrades and whatnot. You can create these simple conversational models without having to actually write code. The second thing is we see a lot of chatbots suffer with like creating engaging conversations with users and like trying to find what topics are relevant to them as well as what topics aren't relevant to them. Again, there is more of there is probably like a little more analytics that needs to be done in terms of like, okay, what questions are my users answering that my bot is not asking that my bot is not able to answer. So Power Virtual Agents, they have an inbuilt analytics dashboard to see like what questions and what topics are doing well as you create this and like what people are looking for. And that really helps ensure that your bots are healthy and engaging over time. Continually enhance. So this is another one that I'll demo, but it's a very powerful scenario where basically what you can do is you can point to any website which is sort of in an FAQ format, and then you can automatically extract and build topics out of that. And we'll see how this goes. But in short, if there is a question answer format, then the question gets converted into the question that the user would send, and then the topic is what the bot would reply with. And again, you've got metrics and insights to help you build topics next. Lastly, these are also extensible. So you can, within a few clicks, you can go from having a simple conversational bot to being extended via other APIs in the Power platform, such as Power Automate. So Power Automate has all of these has the concept of connectors and a lot of external APIs. All of these are extensible if you're building a Power Virtual Agent bot within a few clicks. And I think the greatest thing over here is that all of these bots, the Power Virtual Agents bots, they are fundamentally built on top of the Microsoft Bot Framework. So when it comes to teams, right, we think of a Power Virtual Agent bot versus a Microsoft Bot Framework bot as just a bot. So by and large, the performance is native. From the user's perspective, it's all just the same. It's very much just your traditional standard bot-like experience. And because they're built on top of the Microsoft Bot Framework, you can extend it with skills. So you could have like a particular model where you are creating some simple conversational topics with Power Virtual Agents, but over time you would want the bot to do a little more advanced stuff that is currently not available via Power Virtual Agents. You can use bot framework skills and like find that information, channel that through, and that can enable some really powerful scenarios. So let's go ahead and take a look at the demo for this. Okay, so I am over here in the Power Virtual Agents website. So this is the website client. So it's powervirtualagents.microsoft.com, and it redirects you to this place. And let's actually look at home. So over here you have some information about how do you want to creating a bot and then publishing a bot and all of those on all of those topics over here, and gives you a brief overview as to how to like develop the Power Virtual Agents. I'm gonna jump straight in and showcase what's really happening over here. So over here, this is a demo bot that I created a while back, and it just builds on top of like the sample bots that they have over here. And it's got a few topics. It's loading up. Yeah. So over here, the user can say some sort of a trigger phrase like, hey, are there any stores around in the area, or check store location, or store near me, or find a store near or something similar over here, and you can customize these. You can edit these trigger phrases and create whatever you would like with them. You can potentially add more. Beyond that, the bot replies with a message. It's like, hey, I'll be happy to help you find a store. like what location are you interested in. So it asks for a question, provides some sort of a multiple choice question. Then it says, okay, do you want it to be in Redmond, Seattle, Copeland? And then the user can pick one of those locations, and based on the condition that the user has picked up, you can say that, okay, if you're looking for Redmond, this is our address. If it's in Seattle, this is our address. And if it's in Copeland, this is our address. So I'm having some issues with this, but basically they've also got some nice debugging features over here where you've got a trigger phase and it's followed by a couple of messages. So for example, I could say hi, and as you move over through the flow, you can see that what conditions are being hit. So in this particular example, what I was trying to do was I was trying to open the same checker. Okay, I'm having issues with that. But yeah, I think you get the idea that over here we have the authoring canvas over here, and we have the ability to track between topics. So you can see how the conversation would actually flow through in this particular case. Another thing that they have over here is the ability to look at analytics. So I haven't actually published this part, so there won't be anything over here because this was like sample scenario board over here. But you can look at the number of sessions, the resolution rate, the escalation rate versus like the user abandoning a conversation. This can help you somewhat gauge the health of your topics and see which ones are doing well and which ones aren't. And again, like this goes back to the fact that, we see sometimes that topics get stale or bots get unhealthy. So good analytics are really key to ensuring well-used and engaging bots. Another really interesting feature that they have over here is the ability to suggest topics. So over here, I am on the Microsoft website, and we've got an FAQ section on how to support your remote workforce. So you could similarly have an FAQ section inside your organization. Now, all I do is I just copy the URL to this, and I head back over into Power Virtual Agents, and then over in Suggest Topics, I can link this website. You can also provide other content. It could be a PDF or a doc file or a CSV, and we can add it. So this will take a few minutes. So I should have probably done this at the start. But this is going to take a few minutes for us, and it's going to come up with a few suggested topics that could be added additionally to the bot without you having to actually construct them yourself, which we think is pretty powerful. Let's explore while that's happening. Let's explore a little bit more. So over here we've got the concept of entities. So these are predefined entities that you can use as part of the bot building process. A common one that we see is date and time, right? So then if the user input is our meeting is next Friday, or book an appointment at 5 p.m. today, then all of this gets classified and saved into a more concrete understanding of time. Another one is, for example, you provide the name of cities, and then both of NYC, for example, gets extracted as New York City. Vancouver gets extracted as part of the statement, and then Seattle gets extracted as part of the statement. So there is the ability for some of these entities to be extracted in the form of strings over here, and they've got many more. In this age, there's email. Monetary amounts are also another one over here that can get extracted. So, for example, if someone enters €1,000 as 1K, then the entity automatically gets saved as 1,000. Similarly, if you say 1,500, then it automatically gets extracted as 1,500. So for all of this, you would have had to create some sort of like natural language processing for you on your backend. But with Power Virtual Agents, there are already some machine learning or natural language processing models built around it to extract some of these basic entities and help you create workflows with your bots for that. So let's head back over and see what's happened over here. So this is done. So these are my existing topics, and now I head over into suggested. And I can see that these trigger phases with the messages have automatically been created for us. And from here, I can choose to add this to our topic, and it gets added. Oh, okay. So this is currently not active because I probably need to deploy the bot. But yeah, here's the basic idea that you don't even need to use the authoring canvas in this case. There is no need to use the graphical UX. You just point it to a bunch of questions and answers. It can be a website or a doc file or a CSV. And it automatically extracts these topics and trigger phases and answers for you. Lastly, there is an analytics section over here, which is again going to help you in terms of engagement, number of sessions, user satisfaction, resolution, and all of that good stuff. And in terms of publish, you can share a bot. You can publish your bot to like various channels over here, like Teams, or there's also other bot application platforms that you can use. Okay. That is all I had for the Power Virtual Agents demo. So I'm going to head back over into the slide. So the updates that we have over here is that Power Virtual Agents is coming to Teams. So the no-code graphical chatbot building interface will be embedded right within Microsoft Teams. So you could potentially just create a bot from within Teams and then use it within Teams, all without having to leave the context of Teams at all. I think this is something that we really are proud of within Microsoft Teams, that it really is an end-to-end solution. And with the Power Virtual Agents moving on to Teams, this is going to be possible soon. On the right, you can see that this Power Virtual Agents, this is the Maker app. It's going to be available as a personal app, and it will have the authoring experience embedded over here. So we will have the ability for bots to quickly resolve issues, and when they can't help, they can easily contact a live representative in Teams chat, open a ticket, or take action using Power Automate. This is another common scenario where we see that a lot of conversational bots, typically you want the user to interact with it, and if the interaction does not get resolved initially, then you want a second level escalation to happen. So that's another scenario that is specific to Teams that will be available soon. And thirdly, publish your chatbots to all your employees or to a team with a single click. So eventually, you can learn more about this in the session during Ignite, where they'll be making a lot of interesting announcements, specifically with regards to the single clicking experience. Basically, you can create a bot and then have it available, and make sure it's available to all employees inside your organization if you are the administrator in this case. So they can use it. The deployment process has been greatly simplified for this. And please do check out the session if you're interested in Power Virtual Agents for Teams. So now we'll talk about some stuff that's up and coming for Ignite. These are a few sessions over here. Please go ahead and register. The link for that is ak.ms/ignite. The two sessions that we've got is transforming the workplace with Microsoft Teams platform. So I think this one is a developer feedback session, and this one is with regards to meetings extensibility, build richer meetings experiences with Microsoft Teams apps using new meetings extensibility endpoints. So if you've been following along some of the updates that have gone on from our team, we're heavily invested in making sure that meetings are another extensible surface for you. And it's the same bots. Like if you developed a bot for a team or a chat or a channel below, largely that context flows through. So it's the same bot framework. It's mostly the same APIs. It's mostly the same constructs. It's just it is a different experience though. So do head and check that out. And we have more skilling sessions. If you are interested, particularly for bots and cards development, then we've got one for elevating user experiences with Teams and adaptive cards. So this is where we go into what I shared today was just a sneak peek of the content that's coming in with adaptive cards. We've got a lot more exciting content in terms of some announcements that we'd made earlier in the build. That we'll move into developer preview and GA soon, as well as some other interesting scenarios over here. June, anything else that you want to add for the slide?
Yeah. Just to kind of add to what you've already explained, Ojasvi, so Ignite's going to be a little different this year. It's going to be all digital, and as Ojasvi just kind of shared, we have a couple new areas where you can kind of indulge in all the team's developer content. So first, on the official Ignite website, if you haven't already done so, please register. And then, after registering, you can build out your session schedule to watch live and on-demand sessions. Ojasvi kind of went through the Teams developer sessions there, so please be sure to add those to your session planner. And then the virtual hub, this is something we're super excited about. This is where you'll find tons of new developer skilling sessions that our team of product managers and engineers have created just for you. These are going to be 300 and 400 level content that goes into details of how to use all those new capabilities that we've built, and we'll share demos, offer our thoughts on best practices, and give you insights into what's coming down the pipeline. As Ojasvi just kind of walked through, we have a ton of Teams developer content ready for your consumption there. So please be sure to check it out. This virtual hub will open on September 22nd. So on the first day of Ignite. So please be sure to visit this as part of your Ignite experience. And we've also added a link over there so you can easily access that once it goes live on the 22nd.
Thanks, June.
So one more thing with Ignite, I just also posted a blog that went up yesterday that we wrote regarding how to navigate through the Ignite activities and different sites that have resources and videos, skill building, and our main Ignite sessions. And we'll have a blog that goes up just regarding a summary of this call, and we'll make sure to link to that other blog. And so just follow us on Twitter at Microsoft 365 Dev, and you'll get the announcement when the blog goes up from this with the call recording. So if anyone has any questions then and you don't have access to chat, please feel free. We have an extra 15 minutes. You can raise your hand, ask questions verbally, unmute, and we're happy to help how we can.
Dana, can I obnoxiously throw in a plug for a Teams developer related project?
No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Of course you can.
Hi, I just want to encourage everybody to go to aka.ms/Teams sample browser. This is all one word. I've been working with the PNP group to assemble a collection of all of the Teams developer samples across Microsoft and the PNP community. And we're looking for more contributions as well. So if you want to go in there, just check it out. You can slice and dice the samples in a bunch of different ways. Would love to have more people use this and also start contributing all of your cool samples to the PNP repository.
Thanks, Bob.
So I do see Lou has his or her hands raised.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so first, this is a little unrelated to what was gone over today. Awesome presentation, by the way. I just wanted to say I was building something with outgoing webhooks recently, just while we're talking about webhooks. I noticed there's inside the JSON there is, and I can't put a picture into chat unfortunately, but inside the JSON there is type ID, timestamp, service URL, and then there's a from node, and inside of that. It only passes out in an outgoing webhook ID name and then an AAD object ID. Problem that we have with that is that you only have 6 seconds on an outgoing webhook to get data back to the channel. And if you, so essentially what I'm trying to do is be able to extract a user's UPN, because we really care about the user's UPN or their SAM account name. So because we're only getting the AAD object ID, it's another web request, which adds more time and overhead. So I guess I was just wondering if there was an official way, I guess. I don't know if anyone's run into that.
Oh, I see. I see. So
It would be nice to get more data about the user sent in the webhook is what I'm trying to get at.
Are you asking for like an easier, like a simpler API call, or you're running into like performance issues with like the 6-second timeout because you have to?
Well, no, I'm just saying that right now, in order to get the user's UPN, I have to take the AAD object ID that's passed over and then make another call to get their user data back. Like if in the outgoing webhook it just included other user information like their UPN or their account name instead of just the object ID, right? Because then it would all be there in the outgoing webhook already. We wouldn't have to do another call, you know?
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm not, I can look into that. I'm not entirely, I'm sure they have good reason to do that, and if not, we could potentially just have it all be part of the same event. But I see your point, yeah.
Just one thing to add here, Ojasvi, was that so this has been a request for some other APIs as well, but there's some privacy concerns around it. So the other request that you make, right, to Graph, that's validated by the permissions you have, whether it be user.read or user.read all. But if we just have that in our API itself, some people who don't really have that permission through Graph will also be access that information, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So just to add some more context here. Good question though.
Yeah, Lou, if you, I would love for you to join the permissioning information session that we will have post Ignite. So if you take a look for that and like reach out to Dana or me if you don't have that, because I think that is one of the topics that we do want to drill in a little more and see how we can like make all of that flow easier.
Got it. Thank you.
Good question though. Thanks.
And then Kurt had his hand raised. Kurt.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for the presentation. I just would like to know what type of licenses in Microsoft 365 is needed to get this virtual agent.
Power Virtual Agents? That is a great question. I believe on the free tier, like I believe all users have access to the free license. So at least the trial license, I believe, for 14 days. In terms of like the actual productization, I am not entirely familiar. Michael Chow is not on the call. So the PM for that is Michael Chow. If you search for him on LinkedIn, he said that to direct people over there. If you can't find him via LinkedIn, just ping me or Dana and we'll connect you. But he will have like the licensing information for you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Steve?
Yeah, so I was going to go back to the developer sample site that was given, and I searched it, and I was looking for anybody on this forum that may have ever worked with or done an adaptive card that pulls weather into team, that subscribes to a service like Azure Maps Weather or anything. Anybody had an example like that they can share?
I don't have a Teams example, but I have a really simple, like literally, if you've ever heard of Plunker, it's a little JavaScript editor. It calls open weather maps, and I'd be glad to share that.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a client that wants to know when rain's coming in a location, and they want to drop an alert into Teams with an adaptive card. So I was looking for any sample code, Bob, that we might have seen.
If you head over to adaptivecards.io, they have a sample weather card.
Okay.
So that's right. I used theirs.
Yeah.
I just kind of put it together, but yeah, I think it's gonna just be a very beginning starter because what I have is it just retrieves the weather when you ask it.
Oh, when you ask it doesn't work on location.
Yeah, it's not like a proactive thing.
Okay.
But I guess whatever, it'll show you how to use the template that. Yes, there is already a template that I stole from the adaptivecard.io site, and it shows you how to bind that in with. You're going to have to do a little bit more work to do that, but it's a great idea.
If I do, if I get it pulled together, I'll post this out on a sample.
Yeah, I'd love that. I think that'd be really useful. I bet that's a common scenario.
And also, for those of you that don't know, we do have an Adaptive Cards monthly community call just like this one. It's on the second Thursday of each month, and you can find it on our event site as well. But I will also put that into the blog so that you have that resource link. Chris Barden had a question.
Yeah, I do. This is more. This might exist already, but is there a control? So I've got a bot that is in a one-to-one conversation. I'm trying to prompt a user to choose a channel to cross-post something into. And is there a standard control for picking a team's channel? Because what I'm doing right now is I'm doing two separate graph calls, and I'm doing a two-stage task module to basically say, okay, pick a team, and then giving the team list of channels. But like something that has like an autocomplete or something that I could put in an adaptive card.
I see. Okay, and you're doing this inside a task module or straight from the adaptive card?
I'm doing it inside a task module now because there's no way to invoke something from the adaptive card.
Got it, yeah. There isn't anything right now, but both of these features we are working on it. So we are, the first thing that we're working on is an autocomplete type ahead search within an adaptive card. So that's the first one. And specifically, we are also working on pickers. So the ability to like pick people inside a team or pick teams or channels from a task module per se. So like both of these are on the backlog. So I see your point. Then you would just use that custom native control rather than having to do the two-step process that you're going through.
Okay. Yeah, the autocomplete thing is, I saw that. They mentioned that on the adaptive cards call last week, and that'll be really good to have.
Yeah. No, we're actively working on that. So hopefully it's available soon. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. And then Antonio Romano, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Sorry I was a little late. I was having technical issues. But I just wanted to ask around Ignite. So, as my accent would suggest, I'm based in the UK. A lot of the sessions, there's going to be a number of sessions that will obviously be happening overnight in the UK when they're live. Will recordings be provided for those? I'd love to stay up all night, but I don't think the customer that I'm working for will be too pleased.
So the sessions that are on the Ignite site, once you register, we have in 3 different time zones. So you should be able to pick your time zone that is more in your daytime. But to answer the question, yes, all of the sessions will be recorded and available after the event. There will be both some digital breakout sessions, 3 time zones, then we'll have some Ask the Experts, and then those will be recorded, and then all of our on-demand sessions are just like that says, on demand, so you can watch them when you want. And then our virtual hub that has all the skill building sessions, those are all for you to watch at your leisure when you have time available. Thank you for putting the Ignite slide back up. These are the particular skill building sessions on Virtual Hub. It'll cover Microsoft Teams and the Microsoft 365 platform, and so you'll get a cross of Teams and adaptive cards and Office and SharePoint and Microsoft Graph, and so everything that's covered there. And then the regular Ignite sessions that will happen within that 48 hours of the Ignite event, you can just add those to your calendar once you're registered. So the session scheduler is up, so you can see all the different time zones that are available for those particular sessions.
That's great. Thank you very much. That's lovely.
Yeah. Anyone else? Chris, I know you still have your hand up. I just don't know if you put it down or you had another question.
Well, I got other questions if you got time. Actually, as long as we're talking about Teams and adaptive cards, one thing I've always wondered, is there a way for an adaptive card, like if I've got a bot conversation that sends an adaptive card, can I disable the ability to react to that message? Because every time you hover over it, you get like the thumbs up and the like button, and it's not really relevant.
You're basically saying that, hey, if a bot sends a adaptive card message and someone likes it or sends an angry face on it, that's that you'd like
Well, no,
to
I know
disable that?
it's more. I just don't want it. I'm not. If I don't want people reacting to those messages, just I want to disable the. Like when I send the payload for the message, just say disable reactions or something.
Yeah, that's not possible today, but like I guess you could just ignore them, right?
And I'm ignoring them now. It's just it's one of those things that every time you hover if I'm sending a card, every time I hover my mouse into that, I get a reaction. That reaction thing pops up, and it's not really relevant.
Yeah. I think the context behind that is like we saw people using reactions inside message in like really interesting ways. Like for example, a bot would send a message and instead of like replying or hacking it, for example, if it was in channel, people would just like it, and that was like a proxy way that for some bots for their workflows they were using it as an hack. So we can look into like disabling that as an option, but like for the time being, I guess you could probably just ignore them, which is what you're doing. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And Antonio, did you have another question?
I did, if that's okay. I'll try and be really quick because I know we're pushed for time. Does anybody know if the APIs for Teams chat are in development or close to being released, primarily around just tenant-to-tenant migrations? I've worked for a number of customers who are buying organizations, etc., and trying to merge Teams platforms with the existing organization wanting to take their chat history over, and currently obviously that's a little bit tricky to do.
I am not aware of that. Because I think you're specifically talking about chat history and migration for Teams, right?
One-to-one chat history. Yeah.
I could potentially connect you to the PM over in chat or in Graph who would own that, but I don't have idea about that. So if you ping me or Dana, we'll connect you for that. Yeah.
Antonio, you're not talking about because there was that migration API that just went up like 2 weeks ago, right? But that looks like that's just for team messages, not for one-to-one.
So Teams messages. I have seen that. Yes, thanks for pointing that out. But some of the asks we've had have been around one-to-one chat, and it's just some customers just are really trying to push for it, and whoever gets out first with that API, I think, is going to make a lot of money. Thanks for your help, everyone.
Yep, and so thanks Ojasvi for the great presentation and Bob for the information on community. We will get all of this stuff up in a summary into the blog with the recording on our Microsoft Developer YouTube channel. And if you just follow us on Twitter at Microsoft 365 Dev, you'll get all the latest announcements, information when recordings come up, all of the community calls that we have going on, and information about Ignite coming up next week. So we hope to see you there, and if not, we will see you next month here in this channel. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks everyone. Bye.